Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. My name is CT, and today we are back on another episode of Your Opinion, where I take all of your opinions on music, any hot takes, questions. This week I had a specific question which I asked you guys over on Instagram, and that is, which Post Malone album is better? Beerbongs and Bentleys or Hollywood's Bleeding? Both of these albums are really good, but in this video I'm going to tackle each album, talk about them, and then reveal to you guys which album you guys thought is the better album. So I'm going to start with Beerbongs and Bentleys. So Post Malone, after the incredible success of Stoney off of the singles White Iverson and Congratulations featuring Quavo, if he kept up what he was doing, he could easily become a big name in music. And that's essentially what he did. After Stoney was released and after the huge success, in October 2017, he released the single Rockstar with 21 Savage, which was a huge hit. It was massive. It was a huge hit all around. And then followed by that, he would release the single Psycho in May and eventually release the entire album later in the summer. The album, as I said, is called Beerbongs and Bentleys. Had a ton of hits such as Better Now, Candy Paint, Rockstar, and Psycho. And the album was incredibly successful. One of the top albums of the year for 2018. Better Now became one of the biggest songs of the summer that year, and Post Malone was he was doing amazing. Now, I would say Beerbongs and Bentleys was kind of an improvement over Stoney. Like Post Malone definitely had a lot more songwriting abilities for Beerbongs and Bentleys rather than he did when he was starting out with Stoney. So Beerbongs and Bentleys is definitely the better when it comes to Beerbongs and Bentleys or Stoney. But that's not really what we're talking about right now. So yeah, Post Malone, he couldn't do anything wrong. Beerbongs and Bentleys was still being streamed heavily until January 2019, when he released the first single off of his new album, Hollywood's Bleeding. The first single he released off of that was entitled Wow, which was pretty decent success. It was not as popular as, say, Rockstar was, but it was pretty popular all around. Followed by the single Goodbyes with Young Thug, which was really popular. And then eventually he released the entire Hollywood's Bleeding album in October 2019. And that album, it had Wow, it had Goodbyes, had the song Sunflower from the Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse movie. It had Circles, it had Enemies with DaBaby, it had so many really good songs on it. And this album was still really popular. I mean, there was something about it that it was very similar to Beerbongs and Bentleys with the types of songwriting and stuff. There was a lot more collaborations on this album for sure, including stuff from Ozzy Osbourne and stuff. So that was a pretty cool aspect of it. Now, in terms of which album is better, oh man, this is tough. Well, Beerbongs and Bentleys had kind of the biggest impact at the time because it was such a good album when it first came out because it was much better than Stoney. And then Hollywood's Bleeding later on down the road basically almost, I feel like, did the same thing as Beerbongs and Bentleys did. That's my only thing on it. In the transition from Stoney to Beerbongs and Bentleys, there was a huge increase in Post's songwriting. His flows were getting a lot better. And then when it came to the transition between Beerbongs and Bentleys and Hollywood's Bleeding, there wasn't really much of a transition. He just stayed exactly the same. And this is one of those, I'm not saying Post Malone is one of these people, but it's kind of like DaBaby in a way, where you have, for DaBaby's 3 albums, Baby on Baby, Kirk, and Blame It on Baby, it felt like he had the same flow throughout of it, and he still is able to be massively popular. But Post is kind of doing the same thing with Beerbongs and Bentleys and Hollywood's Bleeding. I'm not saying he'll continue this. I mean, maybe he'll become more experimental in the future, but for right now, I'm saying Beerbongs and Bentleys is definitely the better Post Malone album. So now, what did you guys think? Let me just check right now. And apparently, you guys agreed with me. Beerbongs and Bentleys is the better Post Malone album out of the two. And Stoney is not far behind Beerbongs and Bentleys because right now it is considered a classic to any OG Post Malone listener. But definitely, I feel like out of Post Malone's entire discography, that Beerbongs and Bentleys is definitely the #1 Post Malone album you can listen to. So, that has been another episode of Your Opinion. If you have any other questions or hot takes, leave them in the comments down below, and maybe it'll get featured in a video soon. You can subscribe up there. You can check out some other videos over there. and I'll catch you next time. Peace.